on to part 2 of how I became an atheist. After finishing 8th grade, of course, I went to high school, and high school was where it really happened for me. I've said this in another video, but my biology teacher in 9th grade told us about lobotomies, and it was either that night or some night soon afterwards where I lay in bed thinking about this, thinking about the implications of being able to influence somebody's personality by simply, you know, putting a hole behind their eye. And I thought about this and Alzheimer's disease and some other things. And I also thought about the possibility that the brain is like a movie screen and the soul leaves its impressions on the brain. So if the brain itself is damaged, you're just getting a scrambled impression from the soul, and the immaterial soul is thereby not affected. But I didn't really convince myself with that, and in the course of well, I don't really remember, but it was very, very quick that I ceased to believe in in an immaterial soul. And that was really what started me on the path to atheism. I pretty much became a deist at that moment. I realized, you know, I was still in the habit of occasionally praying, but after I did it, I realized this is really stupid. There's no such thing as a soul, so I don't think God really cares if I pray to Him. I still believe I was still a deist at that point, though. But slowly but surely, over the course of about 2 years, I ceased to, well, I became what I called an agnostic. I realized later, well, I'll get into that. Also in high school, going back to this creationism topic, I saw in my history textbook a copy of Poor Richard's Almanac showing the date or the age of the Earth on the front page of the almanac, and for the life of me, I can't remember the name of the bishop who first thought of it, who did that calculation. Bishop Usher, right? His calculation was on the front page of Poor Richard's Almanac, and still at that time my reaction was, wow, what stupid people lived in the 18th century, you know? Okay, anyway, I finished high school, and after finishing high school, I immediately went to live with my dad because I couldn't really take the restrictive lifestyle my mom had me under. And I went to work for the post office for a year as a casual clerk. And I always had to go to work, or I got up at 2:45 every morning and started work at 4 a.m. So it was pretty rough. And on the way to work, I'd always listen to Art Bell. This is going back to the evolution topic again. And on one particular evening/morning, he had Kent Hovind on, and that was my first real exposure to what young Earth creationists believe. But at the time, I figured this is Art Bell, you know? There are a lot of different types of nuts in this world, huh? That was my basic impression of that. Okay, so after finishing working at the post office for a year, I went off to college, and I won't really talk too much about college, but one day, the memory of exactly the room I was in and so on still lingers with me. I was still calling myself an agnostic, remember? One day, I was sitting in the living room, or not sitting, I was standing, facing a magazine rack. This is the kind of detail I remember about it. But it just occurred to me, I don't know why, but it occurred to me, hey, I'm an atheist. I really don't take the idea of God very seriously, or seriously at all. I don't even consider it anymore, and I just realized I'm an atheist. And that was pretty much that. Okay, but to go back to the creationism stuff some more, I think I go back 2 more times from here. I listened to Christian radio at one point, just on a whim. You know, I was flipping through the channels and I came across this. Hey, what the heck's this? And this guy was talking about the problems with dating and transitional fossils. And in a philosophy of science class, I actually wrote something in an essay about how we still have problems with transitional fossils. I completely believed the theory of evolution. I completely accepted it. It was just that I thought it had difficulty explaining certain things, that maybe there were some mechanisms that aren't covered under Darwinism, and the Christian radio show influenced me. Basically, I got pwned by the professor there. And later on I took a geology course and really realized the error of my ways in listening to a single thing these people said. And that was probably the first step in me getting really pissed. After finishing college, in college, though my major was economics, I also studied Japanese for 4 years. And when I heard about the Japan Exchange and Teaching Program, basically a program where you can go to Japan for up to 3 years. It's been extended now, but my time's already up there, and I'm on a different, I'm working with a different company now. But basically you can go to Japan for a limited amount of time and teach English as an assistant English teacher. And I decided to do that. For the main reason was to hone my Japanese. But anyway, I went to Japan, and I'm still here. After coming to Japan, I wandered upon the Infidel Guy's website. At first when I saw it, I thought, oh, big deal, it's a black guy who's an atheist, who cares? But I scrolled down the page a little bit and noticed that he had interviews with a lot of my heroes. I was really into skepticism at the time and still am. And I noticed he had Joe Nickel and James Randi and Michael Shermer, interviews with all of these people, and an interview with Asia Carrera, which also influenced me, you better believe it. But so I became a gold member of the site, and eventually I got into the forums there, and I realized just how common creationism is, and also just the influence of Islam on the people that started that instigated the events of 9/11. Up until that point, I'd really just sort of thought, well, there are crazies in every religion, but really, I have to credit the Infidel Guy for making me as much of an activist as I am, to the extent that I am an activist anyway. And basically, that's my story. Thanks.